welcome everybody to Drive Thru Sports with Adam and Paul. Today is Thursday, May the 14th, 2020. Adam Freeman coming to you from Atlanta, Georgia. Paul Brees is in beautiful Brentwood, Tennessee. And we've got our new background going on our podcast here. You can see it. You'll be able to see it on our YouTube channel, Drive Thru Sports with Adam and Paul. It's also got all of our listening platforms, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, iHeart, and Spotify, and also has our Twitter handle. You can follow us on Twitter at @DThruSports. And speaking of Twitter, like I said, I happened to post another glorious golf video today. Me chipping in for eagle from just off the green. I just couldn't help myself. I just had to do it, Paul.
Hey, you gotta revel in the glorious moments of golf. I actually played some real golf today.
Where'd you play?
Harpeth Hills.
Okay. Is that public or private?
It is public. Nashville Parks and Rec have kept the golf courses open for free play. No carts. Come as you are. Come as you will.
Wow.
And there are a lot of beginner golfers out there. So it takes a little bit of time to get through.
I couldn't do it, man. I hate. I'm a pace of play guy. I hate going out there and standing on the tee box.
Yeah.
I gotta be going. I can't warm up every hole. Once I get going, I just got to keep going, man. And it might not be all good sometimes, but I can't. You know, I'm like a starting pitcher, man. I can't have a long inning.
Yeah.
I can't have a long offensive inning. Hurts my game.
Well, just to give you an example, my group, 4 of us got around in about 2 hours and 15 minutes. This is 9 holes, okay? Well, you know, my 21-year-old and his buddies have been going, and their average time is about 3 hours and 15 minutes. So that just goes to show you that, you know, beginners take a little bit longer to get around.
Yeah, I got to be under 2 for 9 holes.
Yeah.
Got to be under 2 for 9 holes. And usually the back 9 is usually what gets me. That's usually where I slow down about 13.
Yeah. That's
when that fatigue factor starts to set in. I don't care how many Gatorades you've had, how many Snickers bars you've eaten.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter, man. Once I get to 13, and if 14's a par 5, I'm done. I'm just done. I'm finished. That's
funny.
Bottom line. Well,
I just got to tell you.
Go for it.
Looking up number 8, I was starting to get a little winded. You know, carrying and walking is not the ideal situations for my 50-year-old body.
It's not conducive.
Not conducive at all. So,
no.
Quick shout out to my college kids. Finished the semester. I think they're all going to be okay with the help of you know, certain individuals and certain exams. We got her done.
That's awesome. So they have they registered for their courses for next semester yet?
Yeah.
Okay, good deal. So I would imagine that Tennessee is going back. All schools in Tennessee are probably going back. I don't think they're going to follow California's lead.
I don't think so.
I would imagine that. And here's another thing too, hot take. Speaking of hot takes, there will be SEC football regardless of – the planet could be on fire and there would be SEC football.
Yeah.
I just believe that. I mean, because it's so ingrained in society, they're not going to let it fail or go without a season. And one of our hot takes is actually something that came up earlier in the week. And there's been so many other things that we wanted to talk about. We haven't had a chance to mention it. And of course, you know, growing up in Nashville, we grew up around the Nashville Sounds, AA. They were AA back then. I can't tell you how many Nashville Sounds games I went to. If it was a promotional night, I was there. If it was Nashville Sounds windbreaker night, I was all over. If it was Frisbee night, WKRN Frisbee night, I was on top of that. If it was hat night, you definitely went on hat night.
Yeah.
You definitely had to be one of the first 2,000 fans to get your Sounds hat, or you were really, really upset. But, you know, again, that stadium's iconic, you know, the guitar, scoreboard, And so we had alluded to the fact that MLB thinking about expanding to 32 teams like the NBA, and that Mexico City, Las Vegas, and Nashville were three of the markets they were thinking about. I think with this coronavirus thing, I think Mexico City's probably out. But I think Nashville and Las Vegas are viable. And Brees, behind you is the newly trademarked Nashville Stars logo for MLB.
You know what? Obviously, you're the baseball guy, but I think my 9-year-old could have came up with this logo.
It's horrific. Absolutely terrible. It is. When I saw that, with all the music history in Nashville, you figured they'd do what the Sounds did and embrace that. Make it a guitar pick or something. Anything. There's nothing in that image other than, like, I think communist China. When I look at it, I think, is this some rogue nation state that has adopted communism as its form of government? And for it to be on a baseball hat makes it even worse, because baseball is America 100%.
Well, let me. I don't know.
It sickens me to see that. I hate.
I know. Let's
hate
retrace it here. This is a logo that is being trademarked by a small group of investors that are starting the push for the bid for the expansion in Nashville.
So this is their company logo, their corporation logo. Is that what you're saying?
Well, they reverted back to the 40s and 50s when the Nashville Stars, right? If I'm not mistaken,
That was the
in the Negro League back in the day.
Correct. Yes.
So this is what they're reverting to, and you know what? This may be, Major League Baseball may have to say, "All right, guys, good try, but let's try to have some kind of."
You can't market that. How are you going to market that? It's like you said, it's something that some kid made on craft day with a couple of sticky stars. I mean, it's something a 4-year-old would do. It's horrible. I can't even put it into words how bad it is. Like, it's horrific. It's horrific.
Right. Do I think Nashville?
Fiber of my being.
Yeah. No, there you go. Do I think Nashville? Real quick, obviously, I don't want to stay on this Major League Baseball topic too long.
I know you don't, but guess what?
Do I think baseball and Nashville would be a good partner together? I think absolutely. But, what you may or may not know is this city has embraced the Predators big time. I mean,
yeah. Which is surprising because we ran the Thrashers out of Atlanta. And then they go to Winnipeg and win a Stanley Cup.
Yeah. I guess if it does come to fruition, obviously it's going to be a while. But I would say that it's going to be a hot start. But the pro baseball team would have to make a significant push in the playoffs to continue the momentum, or Nashville baseball team would average, 20,000 fans.
Or you'd have another Miami Marlins situation.
Yeah.
Which
I do think that there is enough transient people coming in, to this area, and this, this place is booming. Unfortunately, we don't have it's a horrible traffic situation.
Yeah. I don't think they've made any improvements to the traffic since I was in college there in the early 90s.
No.
And you've got now, instead of 800,000 people, you got 2 million or 2.3 million. And you have done nothing to the roads. My dad just said, he says it's just terrible. Like when they have to go down to Vanderbilt, he says we try to limit it as much as we can, but we got to go. And he says it's just terrible. And even as far out as Murfreesboro, it's bad.
Right.
So really southeast of the city, down 24, it's just a nightmare.
Yeah.
Nightmare. Well, that leads us into our next thing, because this was big news on Twitter. and ESPN, and Jeff Passan, ESPN, was talking about this today. The Blake Snell comment. He calls up the Tampa Gazette or whatever it is, and basically tells them, says, "Look, man, I'm not playing for less money."
Well, let me stop you right there, Adam. He expressed his feelings on his Twitch stream last night.
Twitch channel, yeah.
And that's how it kind of broke out. And I felt like it was made to a point that, you know, his feelings were going to be 100% his words instead of him going to a media outlet, and they would pick and choose what he was saying to kind of construe the information. So
yeah, it was about a minute. It was about a minute and a half tirade.
Yeah, I mean, by his own accord, if he's going to voice his opinion, and I mean that's the best way to do it. So the truth of what he's speaking is, you know,
of how he actually feels. And that's why on our hot takes I've got, is that a prudent move or is he just a punk? All right, so he's 27 years old. He just signed a 5-year deal worth $50 million. He was going to make $7 million this year, okay? So in March, they negotiated sort of this little deal once this all happened, and this 50-50 split, so to speak, revenue share. And so his $7 million is, if they say, you know, we're going to play half a season, okay, now it's 3.5. Well, then that goes down to, it's not really 50%. It's going to really be about 33%. And then he's got to pay taxes on that. And that makes it down to about 25% of $3.5 million, which is less than $1 million for a Cy Young Award winning pitcher. So I get his point. However,
I, like you said, I heard the total was like about 980,000.
Yeah. So and so here's, and again, I'm gonna play devil's advocate, because if my employer had said, "Oh, okay, the last time you had students was March 13th. We are not paying you. You didn't work in April. You didn't work with kids directly in April. You didn't work with kids directly in May or half of March. We're not paying you." That's essentially what Major League Baseball is doing to the players. Okay. Now we look at it from, you know, people that live paycheck to paycheck like us, in terms of, well, these guys are millionaires and what are they complaining about? That's their job. Okay. We would complain if our employers told that to us and just said, this is just how it is. Yes, we would speak out in droves by the thousands, probably. So you have to look at it from that perspective. The other perspective is the health issue. Okay. If my employer said, we're not going to pay you unless you, let's say in August, okay, we're opening schools, and, you know, let's say I don't feel comfortable coming in with, and say I have a pre-existing condition. I have diabetes, or I'm overweight, or I have high cholesterol, or a respiratory disorder, and I'm a teacher, and I don't want to come back. And they're like, well, if you don't come back, you don't get paid. That's essentially what they're saying to Blake Snell. And he has decided that, you know, hey, look, it's not worth me going back and playing for X amount of money. Whereas, think about it, if you're in your regular job, you know, anybody in the regular job, is it worth them going back to making $18 an hour, being on the front lines, and working at Target or Walmart or a restaurant, to risk your life, risk getting this? So I understand where he's coming from. It's just people have a hard time grasping it because of the amount of money that professional athletes make. If it was a regular Joe that was in the same situation, then people would be all up in arms. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like the amount of money sort of puts, you know, makes you have to look at it through a different lens. And if you take the money out of it, and he's just a guy who's being told, we're going to arrange it where we're going to open the factory back up. It's going to be pretty safe. we're going to do a lot of stuff to make it safe, but you can only get paid if you come back to work. And he's saying, I'm not comfortable coming back to work because I'm at risk, or I'd have to be away from my family and quarantined or whatever. It's a whole different conversation. So we look at it differently. So I'm kind of with you in terms of, him using Twitch, in terms of that's his words, man. That's how he feels, and they're not taking it out of context. That is the context. The minute and 27-second clip, that's it. That's how he feels straight up. So, I'm sure he speaks for a lot of players. Now, the ones that aren't making huge dollars and are missing windows in their career might feel differently. I don't know.
Yeah.
What?
I mean, so you're obviously, as a baseball purist, I'm sure you would, when this first came out, you thought Blake Snell was a punk.
Exactly. That's what I thought too.
As you digest and dissect his words, there is some kind of understandability of what he was saying. And obviously, people look at it as, hey, you're getting paid a lot of money to do something that's fun. You're not in a factory line, as you're talking about. You're not, in a coal mine. You're not on an oil rig. I mean, you're playing baseball, and man, how fortunate are you to get to do something like that for a lot of money? And so there's probably some jealousy involved in that from outsiders.
Yeah.
But you can understand. You talked about the injury parts. One pitch. I mean, it could all go down the drain. And if you say, does he want to risk injury? Does he want to risk, the virus?
Well, plus these guys, they're talking about the plan is quarantining all of them in like a hotel or a resort complex away from all their families. I love baseball. Don't get me wrong, but that just doesn't seem right. And I really can't see the Major League Baseball Players Association going for that. I can't. And, I want to have games and everything, but if they're going to have to go through a ton of steps, I mean, the Reds, the Marlins, two that I know of, have already laid off like 50% of their workforce. So this is impacting lots of people on down the line, not just the players. I mean, the players are who we see, but it's the vendors, it's the concession people, it's the ticket takers, it's the parking lot attendants. It's all those people. So, I don't know what the answer is. And, it's a complex issue, obviously.
Yeah. Well,
the owners have set their plan out. They say, hey, this is our proposal. They're going to have to look at it. And I think obviously the pay is it's going to be contentious. This next week, going to be some very contentious arguments and discussions.
Well, real quick as we end this is, Major League Baseball has the benefit, of the TV revenue. And, they're going to get a lot of money from that. And up here in Nashville, the Nashville Sounds we talked about, now AAA, there is no TV revenue. They get, their money's coming in from people in the seats and concessions bought. And so that's going to be the big question. What's going to happen to those guys in the minor league?
Yeah, and they've already cut. We talked about this in an earlier show. They've already cut teams.
Yeah.
27 AA teams, several, I think 81 total, several single A and rookie teams, cities that now no longer have baseball. In fact, the Sounds are the only team left in Tennessee.
Well, I think the
gone. Chattanooga gone. Memphis gone.
Is Memphis gone?
They're
Redbirds?
Right? Oh no, they're AAA. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
They've been affiliated with the Cardinals.
I thought it was the Memphis Chicks back in the day were AA.
Those are the good times.
Yeah.
All right. Well, there's Major League Baseball. I got it off my chest. There we go.
Yeah. Now Paul doesn't have to talk about Major League Baseball anymore tonight. So we get to our third hot take tonight, which was another thing that was just like blowing up on Twitter. And I don't even know why it was blowing up because this is ridiculous.
This didn't take very long.
Shaq versus Draymond. Draymond Green, just for those of you who don't know, he's not a one one name person. Okay, his name is Draymond Green. Okay, he's a forward for the Golden State Warriors who rode the coattails of Klay Thompson, Kevin Durant, Steph Curry. He's got a couple rings because of it. What's he?
You may want to mention this, Adam. Draymond Green, only healthy of the, one Durant left.
Right.
Steph and Klay were hurt this start of this year, right? The NBA season.
Yeah.
And they're the only team eliminated from the NBA playoffs currently. So
coincidence? I think not.
Draymond, I'm sorry, but you're not the guy.
You're not. He's not the guy. I mean, he's just not. And to think that he could defend Shaq. I mean, has Shaq been out of the league that long that we forgot what he does to people in the low block? I mean, it's criminal. I mean, he just abuses people. And I mean, I'm not talking the Matt Geigers of society and and the Benoit Benjamins. I'm talking about David Robinson. The Karl Malones, Patrick Ewings, all these guys. Hakeem. I mean, they all had issues guarding him and keeping him away from the rim. So the fact that to even think that that Draymond could even hold a candle to Shaq and even attempt to keep him from doing exactly what he wants to do is just one of the most ridiculous things that I've really ever heard. I mean, I could go on and on about this, but it's a moot point to me, and that's why I have really down there, just because I think it's ridiculous. And when you look at, you talk about him being the only one of the big dudes on Golden State that was back. I mean, they talk about like this year. I mean, the guy here's the guy's stats. Okay, all right. He plays 28 minutes a game. He's a 76% free throw shooter, 28% 3-point shooter, shoots 39% from the field. Okay, and if this is just season, not.
This is a guy that is listed as
8 points a game, Paul. 8 points a game.
He's 6'6".
He's averaging 8 and 6. Seriously?
Yeah, you know how many 6'6" guys can average more than 8 points in the NBA?
Good grief!
A lot of people.
It's a joke.
Listen, I changed my background because I'm ready to move on.
All right, I should have taken the clue there as as Brees changed his background. I'm gonna do it in kind, and we're gonna get to the human interest side of tonight. And I couldn't believe when we started our meeting before we started recording the episode tonight, when I let Brees in from the waiting room. What's the first thing I see is his background of the Laugh Olympics, and I was like, "Are you kidding me with that background?" He's like, "What? It's the Laugh Olympics." I said, "I know it's the Laugh Olympics. That was like one of my favorite ones. That was the one I was going to use." So, I've gone to my secondary, which is a 70s classic, Hong Kong Phooey, a favorite Saturday cartoon. I like the whole aspect of, him being the janitor, then going into the filing cabinet and changing it, and he had the cool ride, he had the car and everything. And I don't know. It was just something about Hong Kong Phooey was
and you may want to say this, Adam. Hong Kong Phooey was part of the Scooby Doobies on Laugh Olympics. So
yes, he was on there. He was on the Scooby Doobies, and actually was at the Scooby Doobies. They have I always rooted for them on Laugh Olympics. Who was your go-to?
Oh, definitely, yeah, the Scooby Doobies. But the Laugh Olympics were almost like a pro wrestling event for me sometimes.
What were the teams again?
So the teams were the Scooby Doobies, captain by Scooby Doo, the Yogi Yahooies,
okay,
led by Yogi Bear, Captain Yogi Bear.
And the Hanna-Barbera characters.
And then the really rottens.
Oh, yeah.
Mumbly.
He was the dog, right? Mumbly's a dog, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. The Scooby-Doobies were easy to root for.
Yeah, but sometimes you were like, it was kind of like the Road Runner. You sometimes were seeing, I'd like to see if the really rottens could do something. You know? I mean, I felt bad for them sometimes, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, they always had a trick up their sleeve, which is goes to their moniker. You know, they're always trying to cheat. Now,
right.
Yeah, I like Scooby-Doobies because you had, I think the Blue Falcon was on Scooby-Doobies, I believe.
You know what? Let's see. The Blue Falcon was correct.
Yeah, Blue Falcon. Yeah, You had Blue Falcon and Captain Caveman, I think.
Yeah.
And
and one of my favorite, the Speed Buggy.
Speed Buggy. Yeah, you gotta love Speed Buggy too. Yeah. A car that can talk. Come on.
I mean, yeah.
You can actually see Hong Kong Phooey over there to the left of the genie on the Scooby-Doobies.
Correct.
So, yeah, man. Just a little 70s cachet.
Well, real quick for you people that have no clue what we're talking about, Laugh Olympics was an all-star gathering of 3 teams, 2 good teams, I'd call them good guy teams, right?
Oh yeah.
And then 1 evil team.
Yeah. Just
they would go through this contest. It was almost a cartoon version of what was that show we used to watch on?
Battle of the Superstars.
Battle of the Superstars.
Where you'd have like, Bruce Jenner back when he was a man, and you'd have athletes like Tony Dorsett and Russ Staubach and those guys, Walter Payton. Those guys would compete, and then they would compete with actors and actresses.
That's right.
Events. Yeah. And it was on, I think it was on Sunday night. It was Battle of Superstars on Sunday night. Yeah. And but these were classic Saturday morning. These guys right here that are on our background, that's what got us out of bed on Saturday as 5, 6, 7-year-olds. Otherwise, there was no reason to get up. I mean, sometimes I'd be up at 6:30 on a Saturday so I could watch certain cartoons, particularly Hong Kong Phooey, because he seemed to be on really early. I don't know why that was, but I lost so much sleep getting up early to watch Hong Kong Phooey, but tried to never miss that, or the Laugh Olympics.
Laugh Olympics, 78 and 79.
Yeah, at the end, it's competition, right?
Competition, just like anything today. Drive-through sports.
Yeah, exactly right, man. And, again, drive-through sports, you really never know what you're going to get with us. We love to talk about things that are, important in the world of sports. But again, the human interest side, I think, is what pulls people in. So it's a little bit different. We want to encourage everybody to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Drive Through Sports with Adam and Paul. Watch our episodes. We think you'll enjoy them, as well as listen on our multiple platforms. As you can see here, Google Podcast, Apple Podcast, iHeartRadio, and Spotify, and follow us on Twitter at D3 Sports. As you can see down there, and tomorrow night we'll be Facebooking live at 9 p.m. and we'll have the topics tomorrow night will be driven by our listeners. So that's what we're going to try to do. You got any last words there, Brees?
Yeah, 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Central, whatever other time zones there are, I don't have a clue.
All right, as you can see here, you can take a look at upcoming episodes that are on the screen right now that can play and will play immediately. Also, right below us, there's a picture of myself and Paul, and if you click on that, you can subscribe right from this screen. Makes it nice and easy. I want to remind everybody that you've been listening to Drive Through Sports with Adam and Paul.